Hello guys, welcome to the another podcast of Set Talks. So, you can feel my energy right now. It's the reason why we have our today's guest. So, he's none other than Mr. Ninad Kasar, student of leadership and a most dynamic personality I've ever met in my life. So, talking about his achievements, he has achieved a lot. Go through his achievements in our upcoming podcast as well. So, highlights of his achievements are he's the best outgoing student of 2023. He has led his college football team and won a numbers of awards in that. So coming on to his next achievement, which is in road track basically. So in year 2021, when I was joined as a member, so he was serving as a community services director. Coming on to his next achievement, he was a club secretary for the tenure 2022-2023, serving as the best secretary of the tenure. Now coming on to his next achievement, which was as a club mentor in year 2023-2024. And on the next year, he became the club advisor and serving as a secretary of the club. A proud moment as he is my proud mentor as well. So let's start with the podcast. And one more thing to add about his journey is he's pursuing his MBA from Goa Institute of Management, which is GIIM. So let's move towards his journey. So how is it going, Mr. Ninad?
Hello Siddharth, how are you? I'm good. It's like a very big moment for me as well to see you achieve heights. It's always a good thing to have a conversation with you. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ninad. It means a lot. Yes. So now coming on to your MBA journey. So how is it going? How it's been with you? How was the prep you have done? So if you could share some glimpses of that as well with us.
Sure. So MBA journey is going fabulous. It was a decision that I made. Like to do an MBA was a decision that I made through experiences that I had in my life. So since childhood, I used to like to lead. Okay, to take initiatives, to lead projects, to develop things. Right.
True.
So during my childhood, I had the privilege to serve as the head boy of my school, which was my first leadership experience in my childhood.
Okay.
Then I used to play and I also play football as well. So during that journey as well, as you mentioned, I led my team.
Yeah.
So through those experiences and also road track as well, I joined road track in the year 2021.
Yes.
And as we know that it's a pseudo corporate organization, so you get a good glance as to how corporates function, right? So there as well, I was fortunate to serve different positions, and through these experiences, when I understood that okay, so these are kind of extracurricular activities for me. Now I need to align it to the career that I want to choose. So there I understood certain career options, and MBA was one that made me more intrigued and more what we can say more interested to pursue because it was similar to what I used to do. Like not similar in sense similar, but leadership, management, like developing products, project management was some things that I used to like doing before as well.
Mhm.
So that was a point of decision that I made to do an MBA. That is the experiences that I had. I loved it, and that is why I decided to or pursue an MBA. Right? So that is why I did my MBA.
Okay.
Talking about the journey till now, my first year has been fabulous. It has been very fast for me because being an engineer, there was a semester pattern where you have exams after 6 months.
Yeah.
Here you have exams after 4 months. So it's a trimester pattern. So it's very fast. And as we are aware that MBA curriculum in general is very rigorous. So you have assignments, you have projects, you have your clubs, you have your committees. I was fortunate to serve as a council member as well. So there were only two councils in our institute. One is the PlaceCom committee and one is the Student Advisory Council. So I was fortunate to be selected in one of the councils. So that was a very different turning point for me because I learned a lot of things in that journey. Right. So to summarize, MBA journey is going fabulous. I will be having my internship starting like soon. So even that is a different point for me because that would be my first corporate experience.
True.
So yeah, so to summarize, it's going well, it's going fabulous.
As you mentioned that it just been 6 months of semester engineering and it's been 4 months. So you manage your time and everything because being a part of clubs in college is not that much easy thing. So you have to manage a lot with assignments and all. So how have you done that? How you manage your time?
That's a very good question. So I think that like this is one thing I always believe, that once you get into that process, you automatically align yourself with that process. So what I mean by that is, once you get into your MBA journey, in the first few weeks you understand, you gauge the situation, you understand what are the things of priority for you, right? So like this was what I did as well. So once I understood what is my priority, I used to have a weekly and a daily schedule for me. More than a schedule, a task list, basically, a to-do list, as we say. So for weekly, I used to have that, okay, these are the assignments that have a deadline of, for example, the coming 4 or 5 days. Uh, Today, what is more important for me? So I used to sit down, I used to make a to-do list according to, like, I used to not have a schedule as such, because we don't know what will come up the next moment. So you cannot have a timetable as such. Ki this time I will do this time. But I used to have a tentative schedule as to, okay, 2 hours to 3 hours I will give to this. 1.5 hours, for example, I will give to my fitness, to my gym, whatever football I play, whatever that's all. So these were my to-do lists for a weekly basis and for a daily basis as well. And fortunately, that worked for me. For different people, it is different. For me, by creating a to-do list, I have to have a clarity of thought as to what I need to do weekly and daily. So through that, I used to automatically align myself as to how much time I should give, so on and so forth. But one thing I used to make sure is that by hook or by crook, I should be able to complete my tasks.
Okay.
That is something I used to be always sure about. That okay, if so sometimes it happens that I used to not be able to, but that was very rare. Right?
Okay.
So eventually, as I got into the to-do thing, I improved in a way that I know for a fact that okay, these tasks is something I will be able to do, these many I am not able to do. So I used to define my to-do list as and how I went forward. So this is something that worked for me as an individual. Creating a to-do for weekly and daily. Weekly is important because it is important that you have a clarity as to what you need to complete on a week basis. So as to have a daily schedule. Or sorry, not schedule, but daily to-do list.
Okay, that means to have your to-do list have helped you a lot to schedule your time and manage everything through all the MBA prep and all the things, right?
Yeah, so while I was into my MBA journey, this helped me a lot. Before as well, I used to do it before, but it did not used to work that well. I don't know why, and it worked. I don't have any reason as such for this, but this time it worked for me.
Okay, and actually, when we were talking backstage before starting the podcast, so you just told me about your most innovating personal development project which you have executed in club, right?
Yeah.
His name it name was Rosar.
Yeah.
So could you just share some glimpses of that with us, or could you just share something innovative how you have executed that project, because that project was being started in COVID, right?
Yeah.
In 2021, I guess. So how it started, how that idea clicked in your mind, how you just thought of that. So could you just share something?
Sure. Sure. So, as you mentioned, Rosar started during COVID.
Yeah,
Right?
very true.
So, what happened is that there is a village in Modale near Nasik.
Yeah.
So, we went there for a visit, for a tree plantation drive. I believe before COVID, I think. I'm not able to exactly recall the time. So, while we were there for that tree plantation drive, we had a conversation with some of the people over there, like some of the people who like what we can say. There's always a person who leads that village, right? So a few people we had a talk with, and there we asked what are the problems, etc., etc. And they told me that they told us, not just me, they told me along with some of them. Even you were present,
Yeah.
if you can
True.
recall. So there they told us that there is a issue of employment.
True.
And as I mentioned, it was near to COVID, I believe. So during COVID, a lot of jobs were lost, and hence employment was a major issue over there. So while we were back, we had a talk regarding this, that what can be done, etc. So there was a click of a project wherein we can give clothes to them, used clothes we can give so as to make that project bootstrap. and we can empower them on how can they create cloth bags using clothes that we give them. So why
Sure.
that project struck, I'll tell you, because the empowerment of creating cloth bags from clothes was already given by some of our senior Rotarians.
Okay.
Right? So they already had certain empowerment or certain learning as to how can they make cloth bags. Right?
Okay.
So we knew that we had that data point with us. So we had to, so it would have been easier for us if we do that project. So that is how Rosar idea struck us. Right? So that was how we struck the idea that we can do this, that we can give clothes, they'll create cloth bags. So what innovation we made in it? Not innovation, I will say. I will say a certain change or certain different execution. What we did is we made that project bootstrap. So bootstrap business is something that you don't have any initial investment into it. Whatever surplus you gain, you put it into the process and you execute the process. Whatever surplus you gain after executing your project, your product, you invest it in it and then your execution continues.
True.
That is bootstrap, you don't have any initial investment into it.
Mhm.
So what we decided was, okay, that women have empowerment with them that worry. Now R is the execution part, selling.
That means
giving
they
them-
have the basic skills
Basics,
what you
yeah.
need for the project,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah, correct. That's the basic learning. Now our point as Rotaractors was the execution part, giving them
Okay.
the clothes, selling them in the markets, having a good selling price, having a good price that we will give them because surplus will also be used for the further cycles as well.
True.
So we initially, so it was 6 phase project basically. I'll just give a glimpse of certain important phases. First was deciding the price at which they will give us the bags. So a certain price was decided with them, right? Now once those prices were decided, we used to give them the clothes. Now what problem we had is that was a COVID time and we had that perception that COVID spreads through clothes
True.
initially.
True.
So we had to sanitize it. So that was the second or third phase, I believe, where we used to sanitize the clothes. We used to see which clothes can be given to the further, like the women who will be creating the cloth bags.
So were you scared due to that because there was many rumors regarding COVID? So it spread due to clothes, it spread due to touching or coughing, or many other
Yeah.
things. So there were many guidelines. So how have you followed that guidelines going through the project? So
Yeah. So like before we got into this, we had a talk with some of the people who were aware about this matter. So we
Okay.
told them that this is something that is spreading, and do you think that we should be should be so concerned about this point where people are saying it spreads through clothes, so on and so forth. There were rumors about it. We were not certain, and that was a wrong perception. Afterwards, we got to know that as well. It did not spread through clothes, right?
okay.
So we had a talk with some senior officials, people. So they told us that no, it's fine. You can go forward. Just make sure that you sanitize the clothes. Right?
Okay.
So we sanitized the clothes. We put whatever sanitization protocol there was. We did the sanitization accordingly. We segregated the clothes because some clothes were very torn out. So we cannot make bags out of it because we also have to sell those bags in the markets. That was a different challenge for us. So that was even you are aware about that selling
Sure.
part. So these were some of the things that to make it bootstrap, that was a different thing. The 6 phase project life cycle that we developed to make it sustainable for the future leaders also who come in. So these were some things that I believe my team, we did it differently. We did not execute it for the sake of execution, we executed it for the sake of learning. Right?
Okay.
So we used to sit together, we used to talk about how can we better the next cycle. So now we are in a position that we have surplus generated wherein we can now buy good cloth directly from a handloom or a
True.
from a handloom industry, wherein we can now make good quality bags.
So, as you have shared your wonderful experience of Rosgar with us, so I guess that was the first step. You might have thought that leading is a very good thing or very noble thing which you can pursue or you can study about and could express more. Because as I know that you are posting on Instagram the concept of leaderships, principle of that. After then, you post on social media handles as well, Instagram, YouTube. You post your shots on them as well regarding leadership. So, how you came that thought came in your mind that yeah, I can lead or I can just guide people how to lead, because there are many misconceptions that a person who is wearing a suit, boot or tie can lead better than wearing a dhoti or something, right? So could you just explain or elaborate something about that? What leadership is from your point of view? Why leadership?
Oh, that's a whole lot of questions. Okay, so I'll try to answer it, keeping it as precise as possible. Starting with why leadership, I think every individual since childhood should be given the knowledge about leadership, at least certain aspects of leadership, I believe, like taking initiatives, decision making, uh, listening to other people's perspectives, coming upon a conclusion. Like I think that is important because as we all talk about empowering young individuals about financial literacy, as we say, but we are not able to get it in education cycles because of because of multiple reasons. But leadership, I think, is also important because since from a young age, it helps us to understand the life better. I think it helps us to become a better individual on a whole because leadership got me interested after, like I was into it since childhood, as I mentioned, being the head boy, so on and so forth. But this thought struck me more when, as you mentioned, Rosar, as you mentioned, road track, since 2022. Since Rosar came into my life, since road track came into it, that made me more intrigued into why is it that leadership is not taught to other individuals, more like young individuals, like not entirely young, but for example, being in standards like 7th or 6th or 5th, it will help them to become a better individual. That is what I have experienced in my life. So there is a concept of self-leadership as well. So it is not about leading other people, it is about leading ourselves as well. So in self-leadership as a concept, we talk about leading ourselves, wherein we improve our decision making, wherein we improve our initiative taking, wherein we improve our task management, our time management, to multiple things. So it is not just about leading others, it is about leading your own self as well. So all these concepts, just imagine if all these concepts are taught to young individuals since childhood, how empowering our population will be.
True.
Right? So this is what my opinion or my perspective is about leadership. So this is what I try to inculcate in whoever I meet, whoever young individual I try to interact with, communicate with. I try to give them this kind of empowerment so that they can gain at least certain important knowledge about leadership. And that is what I also communicate in my like whatever you mentioned, LinkedIn. LinkedIn I use more often. YouTube, Instagram I've just started exploring. I haven't explored much. I have posted a few videos as well, but not much. LinkedIn I use like from like a certain number of years. So there I post much of my content, right? So this is to answer why I believe leadership is important, where I post. And you mentioned the point of Rosgar, like
True.
that was my first
True,
like
true.
where I got more into. So that is true because Rosgar was tough. I will not get more into it because I think we already covered that segment. But
Yeah.
Rosgar was tough, and through the toughness, where it achieved that heights, where it also was recognized at the South Asia level. You also
Very
are aware. South Asia Road Track Information Center, that is SEDEC, also recognized Rosar as one of the most inspiring projects of South Asia. So when like I got like when I like was there to get that recognition, but my entire team was there so superficially with me because that was a struggle that we had went through. So that made me more, and that transformation that was there within me, that was different, right? So that was something that I thought if I'm able to integrate certain important aspects of it into the individual, I will be more than happy because I want other individuals as well to learn about it because I know the transformation it has made within me. So if I can do something about it, I will be like more than privileged. So yeah.
Actually, the thing is, when you lead a team, so you need to be very precise, very attentive, because your team might face any problem, so you have to be available with them as well, right?
Yeah.
So, how you have deal with the failures which you faced as a leader, because it's very tough for for many individuals to not just face the failure thing. So how you have faced it and how you have deal with it, because sometimes people don't know how to get up and lead once again after a failure. So how would you see a failure by leading?
I have a different opinion to this. I don't see it as a failure.
Okay.
I see it as a mistake.
Okay.
Right? And like I'll not give any kind of provision or as such, but I just think that it's important that you get up, right? Through mistakes you learn. So in my life, like what life I have just I'm like around 20, 24 years old. But whatever I've learned through these 23, 24 like years where I've been into positions of leadership and what all like whatever it is, like I was always fortunate to have good teams. So whenever we used to have mistakes committed or whenever the things that we used to plan did not go as planned, my team used to also be standing there with me. They used to be like, okay, this is something we used to work on it and we'll work on it. Basically, that was a basic mantra. So initially also before starting that six phase wala thing that I mentioned, I'm just giving an example of Rosar to illustrate my point because I think that many people will relate. So there as well that six phase wala thing was not directly like from a thought we think like we have to have a six phase project, first will be this, this. That was not how it was implemented. So while we were executing, while we were talking with multiple people, then the six phase wala thing came up, right? That okay. So one thing that mistake what we committed was we directly went to the people whom we were willing to sell, like for example certain shops, and we directly told them. Like this was a major thing that went wrong with Rosar. I'll tell you. This was why the first phase was invented. So we directly went to the shops where we wanted to sell the bag, where we intended to sell the bag. Our entire team was divided in Nasik, and we went to the shops. Right, our entire team is out in the sun talking with people. And one common thing that we missed was they wanted a demo bag with them. We did not have any demo bags.
Okay.
Until and unless you don't have a demo bag, they will not, like this is what our insight was, they will not purchase your bags.
True.
They will not be able to, we will not be able to negotiate with them with the price. Right. So our entire team, we had a call. We told them, I had the final call of telling them that just dismantle that phase, just get back to your houses. We have a meeting first and decide what we need to do next. And that is why first phase or the second phase I believe came up wherein we had to create a demo bag. So we gave them a small cloth to the modality villages and we got a demo bag. That is how second phase got implemented. Right?
Okay.
So through mistakes, we got to learn a lot of things. We understood that okay, this is how things are. Because we were young people, 20, 21 years old. कितना ही पता होता है उस टाइम पे, right? So through execution, through implementation, we committed mistakes. We got to learn from it. So that was one thing. Second thing was a very important mindset in my team and somebody in me as well of never giving up.
True.
Okay, he did not give up. I will like. I'm so fortunate about that we didn't give up because there were people or some people as well that who did not believe in that we can make this project bootstrap in a COVID situation when we will be able to execute the six phase project, but we did it. My team did it, and I was so happy with them. I was so privileged that we were able to do it. So our second thing was we did not give up until things were executed. Then third thing. I believe, like, how did we get along through mistakes or failure, as you mentioned? But I think those were mistakes. But we had contingencies planned very well.
Okay.
I think so. When we committed a certain mistake, we had that contingency or we had that backup option with us.
True.
That okay, this is something that we committed. We were already somewhere aware about that mistake happening. Not in the second phase as I mentioned, that demo wala thing, but as in how we progressed with the project, as in how we gained more awareness about it, we were able to have certain backup options. That in turn reduced that intensity of the mistake that was committed.
Okay.
So that was also something that was important, and I will suggest all the people who are executing projects to have a certain backup options with them. certain number of backup options. So I believe these two, three things were which helped us a lot.
Yeah, because when I was with you in that project, so I've seen a lot. We have done a lot of
Yeah,
hard
and you
work.
were
Yeah,
part of
because the
What was your thing? What did you feel? Like what? Because even you are like
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of mistakes.
Because I feel that the contribution towards the society, because at that time I was very new in the city as well, so you know it pretty well. So it was kind of tough for me. So I was just getting involved because I was just loving the thing which we were doing. We are contributing to the women to empower women basically. We were building some new skills when empowering them. So I was just feeling so proud inside me. So it was just like. I'm doing something good. I'm doing something great. I'm contributing to society. I'm making my own stand. I'm making my own identity basically. So after a few years in this tenure, I just got an opportunity to lead that project. So it was a very honor. First of all, thanks to you where you started this project, and it's my honor to lead the project as the chair. So it was overall happy. I had to give some speeches right now because that project have taught all of us a lot, all of us. So that's the other thing. So uh, how have you groomed your personality going through that or going through the journey of leadership? So while becoming a leader, so how you have groomed your personality, because you have to groom your personality as well while you're
it's
leading,
important, yeah.
because people admire you a lot while you're leading. So you have to build your personality as well. So how you have built it?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So, improve on your communication. I'll just give certain pointers that I think are important. Improve on your communication skills.
Okay.
Communication in general is about verbal, non-verbal cues. Verbal is how you speak, how you talk, right?
Yeah.
Non-verbal comes into listening, how like you're nodding basically, how you are interpreting things, how you're understanding the conversation, the context that you are in. These are the non-verbal things that we will right. So improve your communication. In my opinion, that is one of the very important things, right? That I also I am improving. Whatever points I'm suggesting, I'm also improving into it. I have not attained that mastery into it, and I'm improving into it because when I am a young individual, 24 years old, so when I'm improving into it. More, I think, will be towards listening. But I think, in my opinion, listening is the most underrated skill right now. But listening is something that helps you become a better individual. More than speaking, if you are a good listener, you have a lot of perspectives to share when you are asked to share. Right? So always keep your ears open, always be a good listener. Okay? Try to be a good listener, active listening.
So what do you mean by be a good listener? Because if leader should be speaking, right? Leader should be leading and speaking. What the role does listening takes in leadership or grooming or personal grooming? So what does it take?
See, yes, leader has to speak. Leader has to give direction to the team. Leader has to improve the morale of the team. But in all this, it is important that the leader listens, right? Because there are going to be people who are going to have problems in their life. There are going to be people who are going to have conflicts within themselves, within the different members of the team. There are going to be different perspectives coming into picture while you lead a bigger team. And you have to come on a conclusion as to what needs to be done next. For that, you need to listen to the perspectives of the people. So what happens is, while speaking, what points you share are important. Not just speaking is important, right? So until and unless you listen to people, until and unless you listen to good quality speakers, you have a quality conversation with people, you cannot enhance the words that come up while you're speaking. I'm getting it. So I think listening is important because it helps us to build a better morale of the team, which is a very important aspect of leadership. Right? Second is it helps us to gain varied perspectives. When we listen to different people, you help us to gain varied perspectives.
True.
There is also a concept of leading from the back, right? So wherein we just empower the team and we let the team perform on their own, right? So Ravikant is an author for a very famous book of Leading from the Back, wherein he has given an example of Tata Nano's execution, ideation, etc. So there also he has mentioned all these points of leading from the back. So basically, you empower your team and you let the team perform on their own. Okay, you just guide them whenever they require guidance, but you don't micromanage them. So that is what the concept essentially means, in my opinion, or what I have read about it as such till now. So there also, when you want to empower, it is important that you listen. You cannot just speak because it will just be your one-sided perspective. The other side perspective opens when you listen to other people. Right? So this is what I believe the importance of listening is in leadership, and that is one of the most underrated skills, as you also mentioned.
Yeah.
Everyone has that like that perception that leadership is all about speaking.
Yeah.
No, it is about speaking, but more than that, in my opinion, it is about listening. Right? That is some like one thing I'll recommend. Second, I'll recommend start playing a sport if possible.
Okay.
Because when you play a sport, there are different qualities, not just team sport. You can play an individual. Team sport I'll prefer because it helps us improve in a very different way. Team spirit and other
Because
aspects
you are
of
working
it.
in a very different type of players, very different
Yeah.
type of mindset.
Yeah.
So which can help you to be a better leader, because you have to know that which player can handle that much of pressure in the game when the pressure comes. So you have to manage that. So team sport can help being shape you a better leader, helping you building your personal development.
Yeah, that's very true because when I was a child, like when I was young, I was honored, and I still thank my parents for it that I was put into a sport of football, which
True.
is very rough, which is very tough,
Yeah.
which is like a cutthroat games at
True.
a point. So I play football till now as well. Like so,
Yeah.
that also was an experience that was a very good experience for me to gain awareness about concepts of team spirit, about how to motivate your team when they are down.
True.
Many a times we were at the verge of losing, but our coach was such that he used to motivate us in such a way that we have turned multiple games, right? So that is something I recommend. Team sport or individual sport, any sport you can play. I think by team sport I prefer. Third point I will mention is start doing certain mindfulness activities. Mindfulness activities involve breathing exercises, involves meditation, involves yoga if possible. I do meditation and breathing exercise. I don't do yoga such much. But if you are well in yoga, it's a very good exercise. What happens is, I will tell you why I'm telling you about mindfulness, because you become more aware about your surroundings. When you become more aware about your surroundings, you become more aware about your own people in general, about their strengths, about their weaknesses, about where they want their opportunities in turn, and that helps you plan better. So I think that you become better in when you do certain mindfulness activities on a daily basis. And that is my opinion as such. Okay, so I will. This is third. Fourth, I will tell work on your grooming. It is important at certain points. Okay, the way you dress up, I will not recommend it to give it a very top position, but it is important in my opinion.
Okay.
The way you dress, the way you like whatever, like the way you smell, sometimes it is important. I'm not telling in a leadership angle, in the leadership angle as well, it is somewhere important, but as a personality angle, I'm telling you, it helps. The way you smell, the way you dress up, the way your hair is, like multiple things come into picture. There are multiple creators who have created multiple color about it. I think these are like sufficient. I think like just these points that I think even I do on a regular. I try to perform it on a regular basis. Fourth, fifth, if you want, I'll tell you about personality and leadership in general is try to manage your time well. Try to prioritize it well. More than time, try to prioritize your tasks. That is very
So,
important.
which can be helped by doing to-do list and making a proper schedule before a week. It can help you.
That is very important because if you do not plan your tasks well, believe me, in leadership or in any scenario, not just in leadership, in life as well, there are multiple tasks that come in that you have to perform. But you need to understand the severity, the intensity, and the importance of that task. If you are aware about that importance, you can plan it better.
True.
So I think that will be my fifth recommendation.
So,
Improve your time
how
management.
you prioritize your schedule? in to-do list. So what you prioritize the most? How you prepare your to-do list or your schedule? How you prioritize the things?
Okay, so there are two angles. Okay, so
Okay.
one is importance, one is time. Okay, so for example, there are 5 tasks. So what you can do is, I don't do it like on a very serious note, but this is something that I'm trying to. I've seen it in a video, I think, and it is very practical. So a task has its importance points and its time points, deadline points. If, for example, there is an assignment for me, that is very important to submit because that will help me gain more credits in my course, and the deadline is after 2 days. So, and a lot of work is limited. So that is my most prioritized or most important task that I need to do because importance is very high and time deadline is very मतलब अभी तुरंत करना है 2 दिन में ठीक है so even that is a task that I will prioritize that is one. Second, if for example there can be importance is for example not that much but importance in terms of what you will gain from that assignment basically.
True.
Okay, and deadline for example is after 5 weeks 6 weeks. So maybe I'll not prioritize that task at that time. I will do that task, but maybe I will prioritize certain other tasks that are more important and have a strict or a very tight deadline for me. So that is how I think you can. The question was how will you prioritize? So I think that is how you can prioritize your tasks, right? Yeah. So I think that pretty much answers the question. On two dimensions: importance of the task and the time that is required, or the deadline that is present for the task. I think on those two dimensions you can
Prioritize the things.
Yeah.
So that's how we can schedule our time, prioritize, and we can save many more time in that as well.
I would like to I was just intrigued about your questions about management and time management. Like how do you just asking how do you prioritize your time?
Okay, so basically I just prioritize my time by noting down things in diary. So what would be my schedule? I just sign in the dates, what I have to do on this. So how would be my schedule for the morning? So I have very strict schedule going on these days because I have to do many projects right now. I'm planning for many projects, upcoming projects. So that's how I'm doing it, and I'm also doing the to-do list. So what I have to do and what I don't have to do. What I prioritize first and what I am going to prioritize secondary. Basically, if I get some time doing this, so I can later on if I remain with some spare time, so I can do that as well. So I'm just prioritizing things quite betterly because after I've learned many things from you, so that's it. So making it quite better.
And this is also a good point. Sorry, interrupt.
No, it's really fine.
It's a very good point to also know what we do not need to do.
Yeah.
But that is a very good point. We always know the point that we need to do, but sometimes it is important that we also note the point that we are not going to do.
True.
In general, also, I think not just task wise, but for example, I'm not going to procrastinate. For example, I'm not going to binge watch, for example, for more than 2 hours. I think it's also important that you are aware about things that you do not need to do. That's a very good point.
Because it saves your time, it saves your energy, and it saves your thinking, right?
Yeah.
It saves a lot of things. So investing your time in right place is also very much important rather than wasting it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So it's very important because when you just impose your time in something, so you need to get back as well. As my dad said me once, I just remember that things. Many of people might know that this thing that time is money. If you respect time like money, then money and time will respect you.
Yeah.
So that's right. I just follow that ethics right now, which is helping me a lot. And I'm talking with my parents and my mentors as well. So they are also guiding me on regular basis. So it helps me a lot managing time, managing things, and managing the priorities. What I should focus on because this is the very delicate age where you can just be something big or you can just be something. You just can't exist. You can be both the things. So I need to prioritize the things that which can make me a big gun basically in future because I want to. So that's why. So that's why I'm prioritizing the things a lot, and most my focus is what I should not do. rather than what should I do. Because because focusing on the negative thing is not the thing where I should waste my time. If I would just invest that time in the productive thing, so it would help me a lot. So that's what I think.
Good point.
Yeah. So next thing what pops in my mind is many of the people talk about the culture you should have in the team, right? Culture oriented team or things. So what does it mean? So what's the meaning of culture orientation?
Cultural orientation, as such, I'm aware about it of culture. I believe it is important, yes, that you have a good culture within the team. Yeah, I think it is very, because until and unless you do not have a good culture, until and unless you do not have an environment where people come in not just to do the work for the sake of doing the but because they like to do that work.
Okay.
And it is tough. It is tough to create an environment where people come not because they need to, but because they want to. It's a very important thing. I'll just repeat that statement. When people come not because they need to, but because they want to.
Yes.
Right? So that is important. And so culture helps a lot in that regard. And it starts from the top. If you have a good leadership at the top, if you have a good values inculcated within it, I think culture shapes it, and the culture is internally.
Okay, so then many of the debate has been I'm listening to is about is moral important or productivity. So could you just differentiate between them?
Yeah, sure. So say moral, not moral, sorry, moral and productivity both in turn are important. So productivity is how well that particular team is executing a particular task.
Mm-hmm.
For example, they are okay. So I'll just give an example. For example, so Rosar, for example,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm bringing it up a lot, but still. So we did a 6-phase cycle. Okay, to go from A, which was collecting clothes, to Z, that is selling the bags and taking money and giving it to
Yes.
the Mahalan as planned.
True.
Creating a 6-phase cycle, creating contingencies in between, making sure that each and every phase of that project cycle is executed as effectively and efficiently as possible. That is what is, in my opinion, productivity. The way you plan your task, right? Morale comes in how well your team members interact with each other,
Okay.
right? So productivity angle will help you create a good structure of your work as to how do you think it should be executed. Morale is when people do it wholeheartedly. Like when people are willing to share what they feel, when people are willing to tell the other person that this is not working, this is not like we should do it in a better way, for example. So that is morale. Morale is basically how well people interact with each other, how well they are open in sharing their thoughts, right? And both these, when it comes together, it forms a good team culture. Okay, where you have a good structure of execution and you also have a good sense of harmony, a good sense of camaraderie within your team, which is what the morale brings. So there are different ways of improving your productivity, different ways of improving your morale. I will not say one is important to the other. Both are important in my belief. But this is what the two elements are, and this is what I think that both are important for building a good team culture. Because just morale with no sense of structure is also not going to lead you anywhere, because that is going to be haywire, just randomly doing things, but people are just happy. But having a productivity and a structure but not having a morale is also going to not help. That is what I think. So both should be on a proper proportion.
So I guess we should move to our next segment, which is we are launching it in this podcast.
Interesting.
So yeah, so it's called Offbeat. So we will be having some random questions for you, which you have to answer it like a rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the first question.
What embarrassing for me.
Just hope you enjoy this segment a lot and our viewers as well. I would just appreciate that. So, what's the most embarrassing moment in Ninad Kasar's life till yet?
Oh my god. This is what I remember. So, most embarrassing moment. There are multiple, there are a lot of embarrassing moments that I've gone through.
When you're in boys' life, then there are many, a lot.
Boys like. So, recently, while I was coming
Yes.
from Goa to Nasik, sorry, from Udaipur to Nasik, I went to Udaipur for a project. So, uh, like this is a bit too embarrassing, but still I'll share it. It's fine. So I wanted to go to the washroom,
Okay.
and there was no washroom. Like where I went, I thought there would be a washroom, and trust me, it was too serious for me to go to the washroom at that point. But I thought it's a lawn. It was an executive lawn where I went to keep my bags.
Okay.
I thought there will be obviously a washroom because it's a lounge where,
Yeah.
where we can stay. There was no washroom. There was just. I asked that lady as well who was checking in that ma'am, I need to go to the washroom urgently. I'll just leave my bags and I'll rush. Please tell me where the washroom is. Ma'am said, sir, there is no washroom. The washroom was on the other side of that, right, which was not in the executive lounge.
Okay.
And that time I was not embarrassed as such, but I was in a very critical situation because I genuinely wanted to go to the washroom. So I just kept the bags. I did not even check in. I just told her, the ma'am, I'll just make the payment afterwards. Please let me go. Just keep my bag safe because I had 4 to 5 bags.
True.
Keep my bag safe. I'll just go. I'll just do washroom and come. But she was not letting me go because she just thought that I'll not return. And I was so in a mood to convince that, so I just did the payment of 50 rupees. I know in what mood I made that payment, and I rushed to the washroom. There were some 2-3 people, and I just requested them that, sir, please let me go to the washroom. I genuinely want to use it. But they were good people. They told me, okay, you can, because there was a common washroom. So I told, so please let me go. And please let me go to the washroom. So it was not an embarrassing, but a kind of very funny
Please,
also.
you can say.
Funny
Yeah.
also, yeah. Where, it happened. So from that day also there were a lot of things. It's fine.
So, what's the most cherishing day of Ninad Kasar's life?
Cherishing day will probably be when my mom and dad were invited as the chief guests in St. Xavier's, where I was still my 10th standard in my school. There was a tradition.
True.
I'm not sure if it is now, but when I was in my school, where I was the head boy of my school, there was a tradition that on annual sports day, the head boys' parents are called as chief guests, and
Okay.
on the annual awards day, where it is about the academic achievements, the head girls' parents are called as chief guests.
Okay.
So annual sports day, my parents were called as chief guests. So fortunately, I performed well in my sports, and I had received the seniors champions trophy. Senior was a category, like for a particular age group, there is a seniors category. So I was in a seniors category, and I received the best champions trophy boys category through the points I had made through the sports events. And I got that trophy from my dad because he was the chief guest. So chief guest gives award the awards.
True.
So I was very happy that day because I got the trophy number 1, and number 2 I got the trophy from my dad. And we still have that photo with us where my mom is a bit emotional, getting. Even my dad is, but still it's fine. But that is, I believe, one of the most.
Because that's the most proud moment for a kid or for any kid of our generation to receive an award from his father. Basically, not from father, from his superhero, childhood superhero. Basically, he's still a superhero, no doubt. But it's a very emotional moment as well. So, when was the first time Ninad Kasar thought he should take stand for himself, basically?
Good question. I usually, like, most of the time, I will not say always, because sometimes it is important that you let go of things, take a back stand. But where I took my stand, so there, I think there was a point in my road track journey where there was a case that had came up. I will not share much details about that case, but it was something about a comment that was passed against a certain gender, and the other person had not felt good about it. But some of the members were in that opinion that it happens usually. It's like it's okay. Those were his friends, and it's okay. Like they will get along well, and even they were right in certain angle. That okay, it happens within friends. We will get along well after a certain time. But I was of the opinion that no, this comment is such that it has to be raised and that person has to be communicated because the other person has not felt. Usually, I give up when, like, not give up, but usually I don't always be on a rigid perspective that oh, this only has to be done. If I think the other perspective is right, I usually get along with that perspective. But this time was such that I believed in myself. I thought, no, this is something that has to be taken up. And that is, I think, I took up my stand for that. I did not give up on the perspective that others shared. Though those were right at certain angles, maybe they would have got along well after a certain time, but I did not think it was uh, essential to get along with them that perspective. So, yeah.
So, any funny moment in Kasar's life?
It's funny that.
No, after that incident, no, I want something else. That because that was embarrassing segment, right? So I want funny one.
Funny. Okay. So it is not my incident. It is actually my friend's incident.
Okay.
So when I heard it was, but it wasn't my incident, right? It is a bit funny,
Okay.
but it wasn't my incident. Right? Or is it fine if I share that as well?
Okay, but you just don't take the name.
No, I obviously will not take the name. So what happened is, while I was in school, my friends were traveling. I got to know that once they were back, so they had a trip to Goa.
Okay.
Our school used to take us in Diwali vacations into different states. So that year, I think 9th standard or 10th standard, it was in Goa. And they were traveling, and my friend was sleeping on a berth, like the middle berth. And my other friends went, and there was also, I believe, a person sleeping down as well on the lower berth. They went and they just removed the belts of that middle berth, and the friend fell on the lower person's berth.
Oh my
And I
God.
think that was, and they all ran away. And still, we don't know who did that. But that was a very fun incident when I heard that because, like, obviously it was not right.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, because the other person got hurt, like that's a different thing. But obviously, it is not right. It should not be done. But it was a fun incident. Just to share it in a very common sense, it was a funny incident. So I think that is a fun incident it just struck my mind when I heard the words funny. More than it in my life, I'm not able to actually recall it at the moment. I'm so sorry.
No.
But yeah, I think.
But you should have fun with your friends, no doubt. You should have funny memories with them. But it should be harmless fun, I guess.
Yeah, I think
It should be harmless
It was not right.
So now this is the end of this segment
Hmm.
of Beat. So what would be a suggestion you would like to give to the upcoming youth or the youth, which is your youth? So what would be your suggestion from your side?
Okay, so I will like to give two suggestions.
Okay.
Number one will be start being aware. Start being aware about your strengths, about your weaknesses, because it is important that you work on it, right? So that will be one, that start being more aware within your team, within your environment, within about yourself. Second will be start building good habits,
True.
right? Start building good habits about, for example, getting up early, for example, reading, for example, pursuing your hobbies, for instance. That will be second. I will just give a third point by sharing that identify your niche where you want to become expert in as early as possible. That will just be my third suggestion because then you can work on it at a very specific. It is fine if you take time, but try to identify it because don't just become a jack of all trades. I think try to master one thing. I think it will help a lot. That will be my three suggestions I will give to any individual as per my knowledge.
So that's all, guys. That's all for the podcast. So first of all, thank you, Dinar, for your valuable time and insightful reviews and insightful knowledge of yourself sharing with us. It's really great to have you on the podcast, and we will wish you luck for your upcoming future ahead. So thanks for coming in. Means a lot.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
stay tuned for the upcoming podcast on Self Talks. So, see ya. Bye bye.